Hey, welcome to the Main Event Podcast. Jason Carter along with Steve McCullum.
Afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon, evening, morning,
Evening.
wherever you are listening to this and however you may be listening. This is what Colin Cowherd, what's his little spill? The Cowherd script.
I try not to listen to him.
Welcome to the herd. However you may be listening, this is Colin Cowherd. Now here are some hot takes
I try not to listen
fill
to him,
4 hours.
but I've heard him a couple times over the last couple days, and I've been like, man, I agree with Colin. I'm like, I got to quit listening to him.
I'm going to turn to Colin Cowherd. No. I've always liked Cowherd when it comes to like national guys. I've always thought, because Dan Patrick's more of the interview guy. He always gets like some.
Well, he's the friend guy.
Yeah, he's the friend guy. He'll get some interviews with a lot of people and do his show that way, and then they kind of talk some like quirky type sports stuff. But Cowherd, he's one of those guys I think makes you think a little bit when it comes to some stuff where you're like, I don't know about that. I mean, there's a lot of takes where you're like, really, Colin?
Yeah, it's
you're
shock
stretching
value.
for that one.
Yeah.
But then there's some stuff where like, yeah, you know what? Maybe Cam Newton's not that great.
Well, I would agree with him on that. That's actually what I was agreeing with him
Well,
on.
he was calling it out long before.
I know. But I mean, at the same time, he's irrational with like, he just got so much hate for Baker Mayfield that he can't, he's to the point where he can't change his view. So like, even if Baker Mayfield like walks on water and like saves children with cancer from cancer, he still has to bash him because he's so dove into that. And that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, I
So,
saw something a few weeks ago. You know, you're sitting on the toilet and the Facebook videos just come through,
Yeah,
so you just watch them.
that's what I see.
And it was the even though like him and Baker like kind of tweet back and forth on some stuff. When Baker did the beer chug at the Indians game, when he shotgunned the beer with his tooth, the Indians tweeted out about their number one quarterback
called
doing
him out.
this, and then they called out Cowherd, and they said, Colin Cowherd probably. And so from there, Cowherd doubled down and said, Baker, he's good for the city of Cleveland. He wouldn't be good for Dallas or New England. But you know what? He fits right in with he pretty much called out Ohio people
Yeah.
for just being a bunch of fat drunks.
Well, that's
who-
my point. It was all for shock value
Right.
because he's like, I don't want my quarterback. You don't see, and that's the argument, right? Is he's like, you don't see Dak Prescott doing that or Russell Wilson doing that, and
Dak Prescott
Stupid.
picks up Gatorade cups on the sideline and throw them away because that's the kind of quarterback Dak Prescott is, all right?
okay.
You don't remember that? From his
Yes.
rookie
Yes,
year,
I
the video
do.
that went viral
Yes.
of Dak
I
just
do.
like
Cleaning up.
Good guy Dak. Oh, I missed that. Let me go pick it up and throw it away. And people are like, oh my God, check out. This is why he's so good because he throws stuff in the trash can. He picks up the trash around him.
I do remember that. Unfortunately, yes.
The thing that young quarterbacks get observed on these days, especially with social media. Imagine if social media was around back in late 80s, early 90s. Oh, man.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer to that is guys that you hold up as like pristine people would not be. But could you imagine so that's the thing is how many people that are known as like good guys or whatever would have been exposed. But more importantly, how crazy would it have been for those Cowboys years with Urban?
Oh, my
and them?
gosh. Bill Romanowski.
Yeah,
Think about
even
that.
that,
How would that
yeah.
have been? Would you just been like a good golden boy the entire time?
Because, I mean, there are stories out there of the way Michael Jordan acted, but nobody in Chicago media dared.
Oh, yeah. You don't talk about it. You do
Dare to
not
say
talk
it.
about.
And with Twitter
Jordan.
or social media, all of that would have come out. And it would not have been pretty. You would view him differently today, knowing those stories.
And I try to bring it up when I bring up my arguments about Michael Jordan, but, people in Chicago. I lived there for a few years, so it was rough.
LeBron's the same way now as LeBron. Somebody David Griffin, a couple months ago when he said how hard it was to get a
Right.
team around him, he backed off because LeBron James reached out to him and basically told him he couldn't believe he would say something like that again. So he backed off because LeBron was
Yeah.
like, "You don't say that stuff about
LeBron
me."
shot him threats.
Yeah. So it happens today
Oh, yeah.
as well. So, no difference there. But episode 3 of Hard
4.
Knocks? 4, because I always forget if there's 4 or 5. But
Yeah, 5.
So episode 4 of Hard Knocks, I thought it was kind of boring. What say you?
I feel like this whole season's been kind of boring, man. I mean,
Well, the
you
business
expected
side.
so many great things from this season, and you really haven't got much. What was it? Last week was kind of the Antonio Brown season type deal. This one kind of focused a little bit on depth chart little bit more than
Yeah.
what they do in most, which is good. You finally get that. But, I was really hoping to see a lot from last week because they had the Winnipeg Classic, I guess you can call it,
Whatever.
with the holes in the end zone and them playing on the shortened field. And I really wanted to see them focus more on that. I feel like every week I'm like, oh, I hope they focus more on this. And then they don't focus a lot on what I want them to.
They focused on it, and the best part about that is, first of all, with every Hard Knocks, John Gruden's like my hero. Like he's I always liked him before. I've said this on every podcast. But with every episode, he's becoming like my hero. So when they show up to the Winnipeg game, and the Packers are just losing their minds about this hole in the field, right? And John Gruden's like, nothing wrong with it. Then Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, walks up to him in the center field and is like, man, what do you think about this field? And Gruden's like, what, you don't want to play? And you see LaFleur just like back off, like, oh no, we want to play. And they're like, but you could tell he went up there to be like, what do you say? We just call this? And he's like, we're not playing anybody. And Gruden's like, we're playing everybody. We're not worried about the field or anything like that. We're playing. We don't want to play. So then it cuts back and he's on the sideline. He's like, I've been in this league for 30 years and, I'm not afraid of no field or nothing. He goes, and then some guy just gets off the boat over there, wants to come up to me and ask me if we don't want to play because of some field conditions that don't even matter. I mean, he just flat out throws the Packers head coach under the bus. And I was just like, God dang, he's awesome. Then he walks up to the refs and he's like, how do I explain this to, like, in the locker room?
Yeah, he was trying to get the rules.
Yeah, he's like, how do I explain this to my team in here? And the refs are like, well, just the 10-yard line is the touchdown now, and so he's like listening to it. But even then afterwards, like on the sideline, refs blew a call, and he's like, refs come over, and he's all like, well, you guys are in good form here, missing calls already. He's got that Gruden smile, but it comes off as serious. It's just, I just love the guy. He's just great. There should be more John Grudens in the NFL.
He knows when to have fun. He knows when to be serious.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. And I feel like, a lot of this stuff is like seriously having fun type stuff too. With stuff like, hey, how do I explain this to my guys here? He's giving the refs a hard time with that. He's going to get the new rules and all that stuff. So, I mean, that was pretty good to see. And you see that too throughout practice and everything where he's having fun with guys, but he's like, all right, no, get fucking serious here. Like, what were you doing?
Well, and then they focused on Keelan Doss again, 89. I mean, this kid's going to be a stud. I mean, he may not be a starter in this league, but he's going to go out there. He's going to do some stuff, especially since Antonio Brown's going to get the safety double team coverages out there. And then this whole episode was about Luke Wilson on how he
back in Canada
goes to Canada. And I mean, okay, Canada's not that far away. It's not like he's from England and they're going to England. So he's like, oh, I'm going back home. Like Canada, literally, we're in Arizona.
You got your passport, everything.
In Canada.
Customs, I don't know.
I've been to Canada and I've never been like, oh my God, I'm going to a foreign country. Like it's literally.
But he was going back.
Yeah, it doesn't matter is my point. It literally doesn't matter.
If you move out and you live in America now and you're doing American things, when you go back, I guess it's special.
Sure.
I would equate that to when wrestlers, they go to Canada, when like WWE has like a Raw or show there. They just had SummerSlam over in Canada. So it was big for, what's her name? Natalya Neidhart. She's a Canadian descent up there. So she went back. She lives in Florida now, so she went back. It was a big thing.
But that's for like a big show for hype for the show and like for the thing. Like Luke Wilson going back as a tight end, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of
personally,
things.
it's good for them to be back there. So
whatever. Well, speaking of cuts, he can go back whenever he wants now because he just got cut. So.
Oh, ouch.
So they focus. Oh, good news is you are the focus of Hard Knocks episode 4, and you're going to be part of episode 5 because you just got cut.
Yeah, well, not only is he going to be part of episode 5, Brandon Marshall will be part of episode 5 because he got dropped, linebacker there.
But they didn't.
And they looked.
He hasn't been on it very much, Brandon Marshall.
Right. So I mean, we'll see. I guess we would get more front office stuff this episode coming up, right?
Well, yeah, you're going to get the decisions. Even in this episode, it was funny because David Carr's like, I can't remember if they're in Canada yet or if they were getting ready to go. And David Carr's like, hey, what do you got going on tonight? Talking to Gruden. And Gruden's like, I got to go to dinner. He's like, oh, yeah, anything fun? Almost like he's inviting himself, David Carr. He's like, yeah, I got to go with Mayock. We got to talk roster stuff. And Carr's like, okay. Backs off.
I'm also interested to see if they do include it. I don't know. I guess the cameras don't shut off. They would shut off, tomorrow or Sunday, right? Probably. Getting ready for the season.
I imagine after cuts,
and
they might
they would
go an
start
extra
cutting
day.
up the show for Tuesday because Rodney Hudson has agreed to a 3-year, $33 million extension as a center. So I kind of want to see if they get into those talks, too. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I know that's the stuff that you're interested in.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've been disappointed in this Hard Knocks is all that business side just hasn't been around. It's been about feet, helmets, What I do like the backstory of the depth chart because you don't get that a lot in Hard Knocks. Like you'll get that, and then the guys will get cut. But I mean, they focused on Doss, who's going to make the team, and things like that. So
Abram.
they're focusing Abram. They focused on that stuff, which is good to see because the rookie transitions in the league. If you notice at the beginning, Abram was all talk and all like, oh, and now he's not all talk anymore.
But remember, was the last episode you saw him on the sideline with Carr talking to Gruden, and you could still tell that Carr was a little bit irritated by Abram talking, just like, just shut up, bro. Like, just get out of here, man.
I know.
Rookie.
Yeah, so so we'll see next episode coming up. I'm looking forward to it because, like you said, it's the one that to tie it all back to the first episode. It's about taking making nightmares for other guys, and I mean Luke Wilson. He's a serviceable tight end. He was a free agent that went there, but that's got to be. They have two young young tight ends there already. So I'm not surprised he got cut, but I imagine he's going to get picked up by somebody else. That was probably a salary cap dump.
Right. More than anything. I think him and Brandon Marshall both were more of a dump, right?
Well, Brandon Marshall, we didn't get to see that much. I don't know how much Brandon Marshall has left.
Well, everybody said it was pretty shocking that he got cut. So
then it would be, if that's the case, then it would be.
I'm assuming it was more of a salary dump, considering the shock value I'm reading just on
because it just
Twitter
came out.
And everything,
yeah,
right?
They just came out that and we didn't get to see him on Hard Knocks that much, so I don't know how well he was doing, to be honest with you.
Right?
So.
Oh yeah. Like I really don't know how well the guys who were showing we're doing, because they only show the few amount of plays. Like, there's the one he missed, but it doesn't show your stat line at the end.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I didn't like about this one. In years past, I mean, Gruden would yell at guys that messed up. The big thing is like what they're going to do with Peterman. Are they going to keep 3 or are they going to let him go and just keep the 2? Glennon did not have a good last game in that Canada game. He was very disappointed in him. So what are they going to do with that backup spot there? Because David Carr is not going to make it through another season, I don't think.
And that'll be interesting to see on this next episode. I feel like with the 4th game being, because we know what that game is. That game is the game for, all right, look, here are the battles that we have
Make the
going
team.
into it. There's only about 5 guys, but 53 are playing, but there's really 5 or 6 guys who have a legit chance to turn ahead one last time. So it'll be interesting to see what they got going on this next episode.
There are guys that make the team because the 4th, their competition doesn't show up to that 4th game, and they do, and those guys that make it. And that's the exciting stuff to see there. But a lot of these guys, the other exciting thing that people are missing is, their NFL dreams are going to go. But I think there's 1,100 players being cut over the next few days in the NFL, and the XFL has 834 spots or 854 spots. So these guys do have a second chance to go into the XFL.
There's also spots to get picked up. I mean, you get cut from the Raiders from preseason, you end up on the Steelers practice squad, and a guy goes down, you end up playing at Heinz Field with Big Ben.
Well, it
happens.
They have to fill the practice squad too. So just because somebody gets cut doesn't mean especially these young guys, doesn't mean they get picked up for the practice squad. But that's the other thing that's kind of exciting about this year is these guys don't go down. And they focused on that linebacker and from Cameroon this time. And, last year he got cut at the cut, but then he ended up being a starter and playing. I think it was November is when he got re-signed. So, it's not the end for these guys, and to follow these guys on there, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this last one, see how it is. It's a harsh reality, man. The NFL is a harsh reality. And that's what I love. I love when they show that, because like with the Andrew Luck retiring, we can tie that into there. Just so many fans watching that were like, he's soft and all that, man. And it's anything but that. Right. And that's why Hard Knocks is so important, to show that these guys are true warriors, what they go through every week for your entertainment. And that's why and I don't feel like they focused on that enough this year.
And that's like the one thing too, because I've been watching, with my girlfriend Samantha, who's not the biggest football fan, doesn't really know the ins and outs or everything. She sees it on TV, like, oh yeah, cool, I like this team. Their colors are pretty. But her watching this, it's like, oh my God, like that's what it's like. I was like, yeah, like this is a business. You gotta show up. Like, you trying to get your money. Like, you're trying to do this. Like, you got to put food on your table first. Like, yeah, that guy's your teammate, but when it comes down to it, F him. You want to be on the team and beat him.
Rookies for a lot of these guys, a rookie making $300,000 or whatever the league minimum is huge for them and their families to get on there. But even practice squad members are making a lot of money compared to what they would do out in the real world, things like that. Intern has seen a couple episodes as well. She just happens to be over when I'm watching it, and same thing. And she actually said the other night, she goes, I like that saying. I'm going to incorporate that in my classroom, because she's a school teacher. Guess what saying that was?
Here to make fucking nightmares?
No. Knock on wood if you're with me. Because they focused on that in this episode. It was
the knock on wood
it was
thing,
like 20 minutes.
which I didn't
him.
really pick up until the last episode, the one before that with the guy,
Caliendo.
Frank Caliendo was like, knock on wood if you're with me. And I was like, oh yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah, and they focused on it to where it was like repeat it. So it made it sound like he was doing it every time.
How many times he said
on there, you know? So it was pretty funny. Yeah, knock on wood if you're with me. But somebody, and I don't have it queued up, I wish I did, but it's like 2.5 minutes. Somebody actually remixed it into a song with a beat and everything. It's great. It does get annoying after a little bit.
That have no lives and can do that stuff.
It is annoying after about 30 seconds where it just repeats on knock on wood. It's all, but it's pretty clever put together when you first hear it on there. So, yep. So next week, looking forward to the final one, then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so preseason ended last night. We'll see how everything shakes out here the next couple of days as we get ready for our big preview. NFL preview will be next week. We will go over every division, every team. Won't be in depth with every team, but we'll we can cross off a few teams off the list, like the Dolphins. But we will talk about them.
Well, got to talk about.
We're not going to go 12 minutes into them, but
they named their starter.
Yeah, name their starter. So we'll go into that more of that next week with our big NFL preview. Give you our picks for the playoffs, wild card, MVP, rookie of the year, all that kind of stuff. And also next week we'll drop a new Cardinals Rewind as we're getting ready to see all the final cuts this weekend. We're also going to drop that and look ahead to the Lions next week on just our specific college, or not college, but Cardinals only.
One last thing on the NFL is I'm amazed at how nobody knows anything going on with Melvin Gordon's holdout in Los Angeles Chargers. And everybody knows about Zeke's holdout. That's now going to go into week 1, apparently. Maybe week 2, according to Jerry Jones yesterday or this morning. So how do you feel about that real quick?
Yeah, we'll see. Jerry said you don't need an elite running back to win championships. So we'll see if you need him to beat the Giants and who's our week 2 opponent.
If the Cowboys come out and they're 2-0, Zeke's in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
If they come out and they're 0-2.
We don't need you.
The old Emmitt Smith holdout, where remember he held out and they were like, we're not caving. And then they started, 0-2, 0-3. And he was in there the next week with whatever he wanted. So,
well, the first 3 games look pretty easy on paper. Giants, Redskins, and Dolphins. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not worried about those 3 going into the season.
So the report the other day was that they raised his dollar amount to meet or exceed Todd Gurley's number in L.A.
Yeah, I saw a few conflicting reports on that.
But the guaranteed money was a lot less.
Right, because he was like...
Gurley was $45 million guaranteed out of $60 million.
But I think they're trying to parlay it into a incentive-based deal, right?
Yeah, because of his off-field issues.
Exactly.
So...
Look, if Zeke didn't have any trouble off-field,
they would have
no doubt this deal's getting done.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that Jerry's like, you know what, dude? F you. Like, I was there for you. I'm Jerry Jones. I've made shit go away for you. I fought for you several times a few years ago and spent millions of dollars to try to clear your name, and you still got suspended, and now you're doing this? F off, bud.
That's the thing, and I've started seeing some stories coming out about some things that aren't known about Zeke that have happened, and you can guarantee you the Cowboys are leaking those stories.
Oh, yeah, there is some stuff that has been hush-hush, because Jerry Jones, I mean, look, when you are a player on the Dallas Cowboys, his big thing is do not make the brand look shitty, and some stuff beyond your control with Zeke. You get that. Then that happens with every team. But there's other things like, all right, look, we'll cover this up. We got you, because he doesn't want the brand to look crappy. So we'll see how it goes. I think, it's a slap in the face really to Jerry. Then again, if you're the old white owner and you've done all this stuff, you're kind of trying to fight back. So I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess.
The way you'll know how pissed off Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones is if they sign Amari Cooper to a big deal like soon, then you'll know that's the middle finger to Zeke, is if they do that.
And here's the thing too, Marshall Faulk now is talking a lot, and a guy that works for NFL Network, you figured you'd have a little bit more knowledge on the situation, but I guess like those ex-players, they don't. I've seen this happen with Donovan McNabb a few times when he worked for NFL Network, and he would say some things. It's like, you don't get any, you work for the network, right?
Marshall Faulk is saying what Zeke wants him to say.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming from Zeke. He knows more, but he's doing
Faulk
Zeke's
is
side.
Also an NFL Network analyst.
I know.
And the way he's coming out, it makes him sound like super dumb about some of the stuff. I mean, yeah, they signed Jalen Smith because Jalen Smith's like, hey, I want to get a deal done. I want to be a Cowboy full time. Like, all right, cool, let's do it. Like, we like you. We drafted you, and we took you high in the second round.
He took a discount.
We took you high in the second round a few years ago because you had a career-threatening injury, no less. Your last game in Notre Dame against Ohio State in Fiesta Bowl. So they took him, knew he wasn't going to be able to play that next year. He battled drop foot issues that offseason, came back, had to wear this like foot brace to help him run, and now last year he came out, and balled out last year. And then it was like, all right, yeah, man, let's do this. Let's make you Cowboy full-time, rest of your career. Like, he was like, I want to be here because I see what it's like being a Dallas Cowboy and what I want to be going forward, because I guess he does a whole lot of like different business deals outside of that. So he's like, yeah, I get my $65 million from the Cowboys, but all these incentives I get for playing with the Cowboys is what's helping me along, and that's why I wanted this deal to go through.
Interesting you say that, because that's actually what's coming out. That's one reason why the Cowboys are able to pay some of these guys less, is because they say you're not going to have this opportunity going to Jacksonville or Pittsburgh or whatever. Being a Dallas Cowboy, I mean, let's be honest.
I know you hate to say it, but
Tony Romo. No, I'll be honest. Tony Romo is Tony Romo because he was on the Cowboys.
Exactly.
Any other team, and Tony Romo would be some schlub who's out of the league.
Exactly.
And nobody would think about. No, I that's one reason why I can't stand the Cowboys is because they have that power compared to most other teams in the league. And so that's one thing they're trying to leverage to Zeke is go, fine, let's go somewhere else. And you're going to just disappear. Even you can have the best stats. Name a great running back on any. Look, Melvin Gordon's a perfect example. He's not at Zeke's level, but he's out there, and
he's in a holdout too.
Nobody's talking about him or anything. And part of the problem also is because the Chargers ownership and GM aren't out doing radio interviews, throwing stuff out there like Jerry Jones. Because even Stephen Jones the other day was like, we're not going to talk about this in the media. Next day, Jerry goes on some radio show and starts bashing about how we don't need him. And
Jerry's Jerry Jones. He'll do whatever.
So no, I mean, that's the other thing that I've been reading. The Cowboys are like, you're going to take a little bit less from us because you have other opportunities that you won't have anywhere else because of the brand. And I agree with that. It's just a lot of guys aren't going to
see it that way
because they just want their money from the team. But
yeah, it's like, so from what I heard, Jalen Smith, he did an interview last week and he was talking about how the reason he signed for what he signed for, he's like, yeah, I mean, I took a discount, but he's like, I talk business with Jerry.
Yeah.
And they were like, how many other players do? I was like, I don't know, but I know I'm one of them. Like, I don't think a lot do, but I do. Jason Witten did when he was there. Romo was the same way. I mean, Romo is now trying to get $10 million from CBS to stay.
Wow.
He's holding out CBS, man.
He needs to get that because his powers of knowing play calls are going to go away once people. But I mean, Tom Brady's the standard on that, right? Tom Brady is like the 25th highest paid quarterback, but he's got his TB brand, his TB12 brand,
TB12,
but it's sold at the stadium.
Exactly.
He has
which
a
is
booth there.
Shocking, rare. That never happens.
Yeah, and so I mean, so you take less as a player because you have those other revenue streams, which is why Tom Brady. I kind of
feel like Brady though. I mean, granted, he's married to a hot model.
His wife has more money than he does.
A lot more money than he does. Yeah. But I also kind of feel like Tom Brady, once he decides to call it quits, Robert Kraft is saying, hey, all that money that you saved me, guess what? It's now stock in the Patriots ownership. I feel like Brady's going to be the owner of the Patriots at some point.
Well, they can't come out and say that because that's a CBA
they can't
thing.
Come out and say that, but I think once his career is over with, once they're like smoking cigars on the back porch at a massage parlor with Kraft, it's one of those things where he's like, hey, man, here you go.
In Costa Rica or something,
stock.
So they can't get caught like they do here. And I mean, that's the whole model behind it is have the other revenue streams going into it. But I mean, that's one reason why Tom Brady doesn't want to retire is because his TB brand is about what? Revitalization, staying healthy, playing long. But that's also why when he goes downhill at some point, you're going to see him leave the game because you cannot have Tom Brady.
He doesn't want to be remembered as a guy who...
He can't because his brand is about revitalization and staying young in your 40s and playing longer. So if he goes downhill quick like Peyton Manning did or what, you're going to see him leave so fast because that's actually going to hurt his TB12 brand before. So that's what's interesting about that. But that's a whole business side there that whatnot. But yeah, I just find it interesting that every week the Cowboys are like, we expect him one. And then this week it's, he's going to sit out a few games. We need him for the playoffs. And it's like, well, that's great. You need him for the playoffs, and that's great. You're planning for the playoffs, but let's not forget, Cowboys, your track record is mainly 8-8. So
they're on the up and up lately, Steve.
Last year they weren't 8-8.
That's the Romo years.
But their track record's 8-8.
That was the Romo years. We're past that. We're looking ahead. All right.
Okay. I know you poo-poo the Eagles out there, but they're don't formidable foe.
We'll be talking about it next week on the big preview. So, I mean, do you want to get other NFL news while we're at it, too?
Might as well just go over.
Might as well just knock it out. Andrew Luck has called it quits,
yeah,
which we touched on a little bit earlier. And what was your initial thought?
I actually, I mean, we were together,
I mean,
and
don't say you saw it coming.
No, nobody
initial
did.
thought.
But I have been the person that's been saying there's something wrong with Andrew Luck.
Oh, and I've been there with you. Yeah.
And it was like these injuries aren't the problem. Like I've been saying that for a while. I was saying like it's in his head. There's something going on that these injuries are keeping him from going on the field, whether he's afraid or whatever. I couldn't put my pinpoint on it. But I mean, once I heard he retired, it was literally like, well, that makes sense. Like he doesn't love the game anymore. The game is now, it's not him waking up excited to go play football. It was him waking up not excited to go to the training room or to go to rehab or something like that. And we've all been there in our jobs. I've seen a lot of people like, I can't quit my job. Well, first of all, you don't have $100 million in the bank.
Or
second of all,
you have the option to go get a even better, cushier job.
But second,
analysis.
Yeah.
Is Booger going back to the Boogermobile now?
No, right? No.
The Luckmobile?
But second of all, not only do you not have that kind of money around, that FU money, but second of all, you also aren't going to a training room. Injuries are the one thing, man. Anybody that's had an injury in a car accident. I mean, we have a good friend that was in a car accident, and read his Facebook post, man. They're sad and depressing now. And they weren't that way before. And he hurt his back and had a back surgery. I mean, when you're at the top of your game and you're just constantly in rehab, you're constantly hurt, it's just going to take a mental toll on you, especially as you get older and everything. So it was a surprise to me he retired, because most guys would have just got on, which I was reading, they were begging him to go on the IR for 8 weeks or designated to return.
Right.
And they were like, don't even come in here, just go. And then we won't bring you back for the year, and just literally don't come you're not even a member of this team. Most guys would do that to collect their paycheck. And he was just like, I'm done. I'm not happy coming in here. I'm out of here.
So I'm actually glad you brought up, we did have a good friend, Dean Mills, who was in a car accident. Shout out to Dino. Hope the healing process is going good. I know he keeps posting the updates. And, man, like you said, it's kind of one of those sad and depressing things. But he did post last week after Luck announced it. So, I mean, first it is, well, Luck didn't actually get to announce it. He informed the Colts that he planned on retiring.
Which is sucky.
And he was going to do it on Sunday and talk to the team and have the press conference and all this stuff on Sunday. Saturday night, the news got out that he informed the Colts. Adam Schefter broke the news that he would inform the Colts that he planned on retiring, conference to come tomorrow. And then the fans found out. Obviously, fans are there. They have Twitter, Facebook, and people are probably texting them that are at the game like, oh my God, dude, Luck's retiring. And they're like, what the heck? So they, instantly started booing him. We saw Doug Gottlieb, good old hot take Doug,
idiot,
come in with, it's the most millennial thing to do, and calling him a quitter. So a couple of parts to that. I want to get your reaction to it too. Adam Schefter, after he
doing his
came
job
out and did a thing. I mean, it does suck, and I get where fans are like, man, how do you do that, Schefter? But he is doing his job, and he is the most informed guy out there, I think, when it comes to ESPN
analyst, yeah, whatever, yeah,
ESPN, whatever, and NFL talk. Him and Ian Rappaport do a great job. So Sheffy, I had to break the news first. The fans booing him. I'm not going to tell a fan what they should and shouldn't do with their money. I mean, by all means, however you feel about Andrew Luck, do what you got to do. I mean, yeah, it is sad. It sucks. And you hear Andrew Luck say, like, he was kind of shocked by it, too. I mean, end of the day, these guys are human beings. And that's the one thing that we don't understand. And I think a lot of NFL fans don't, like the fan who says, well, I can't just quit my job. Well, you would if you could. And, you would if it got that bad. You would quit your job.
Well, I mean, a little back history. I don't talk about my personal life very much, but one reason why we're doing this, and I'm not at a 9-to-5 corporate world job, is because there became a time where for about 2 years, I would wake up and would rather run my car into a pillar on the freeway as I was driving into work than go into work.
Right.
And I wasn't even injured. It was mentally draining. I hated every second of it.
You were doing a lot of traveling there.
It affected my personal life. It affected my relationship with my kids. It affected my relationship with my parents, my kid. I mean, it was bad. And it was all, like the day I left that job, man, it was like
weight lifted off your shoulders.
Like I was that bad. Like you don't even realize it happens. And like I said, I wasn't even injured. So God, I could only imagine if you wake up and, you're injured all the time. You're always going to rehab. You're always getting asked how you're doing. Like that was the thing was I got it. As for Adam Schefter, I mean, he had to break it because if he didn't, Ian or somebody else would have broke it.
Right.
So what sucks is whoever told Adam Schefter in the Colts organization is what's bullshit because Luck was on the sidelines. So,
right.
Luck didn't tell anybody, and he was going to break it to the team after the game. And actually, There's actually video of him breaking it to the backup quarterback who's now the starter.
Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, on the sideline before Adam Schefter even says anything about it. Like, there was video of when he told him, you could read the lips. And so, I mean, he was all prepared. And that's the crappy part on that. But you can't blame Adam Schefter. That would be like the Watergate guys not saying anything about Watergate. You know what I mean? Like, you have to come out with that news when you have it and it's verified.
I'll hold on to it till tomorrow.
Yeah, nobody's going to do that in that job position. Then second of all, like you said, the fans booing, I get it. They're at the game. The other thing you got to remember about the Colts is when he sat out that year, the owner of the Colts going into week 1 was like, Andrew Luck's going to be here, guys. Andrew Luck's going to be here. They are constantly telling their fans, he's going to be here. He's going to be here.
Oh, yeah. You're trying to sell season tickets. Hey, don't worry. Andrew Luck's back. He's healthy this year. He's going to be the Andrew Luck of old. We built a line around him. It's good.
I get it. You're sitting at the game and you see Adam Schefter's tweet. Because like when I go to games,
especially if we just dropped $10,000 on season tickets.
Yeah, well, most people drop 2 or 3, out there. Yeah, and it's hard-earned money, Indianapolis. But you're sitting there. I'm sitting at the game, and I follow Twitter on the game because it gives you updates. Whatever. So you're sitting there still through your Twitter feed at a preseason game, and you see Adam or Luck's retiring. I could totally get why they're like, hey, F that guy. He's soft, whatever. But things like, and then you got the guys like you mentioned, which I don't even want to say his name, but I'll do it. Doug Gottlieb saying what he said, and then saying it's a joke. That was far from a sarcastic joke there. But it was far from a joke because then on his show, after he took so much heat, on it was, that he's like, then he goes into this millennial rant or whatever, and this is a guy that like, he doesn't like it being brought up.
He stole his roommate's credit card.
More than that, like 4 people, and so don't throw stones. If you're thinking he got mad because a couple NFL players pointed that out, that he stole credit cards because he didn't want to work, it's too hard to work and things like that. I mean, but if you're a media person, there's ways to criticize Andrew Luck for this move, like retiring 2 weeks before the start of this. That's your criticism, right? Like, who are you to do that? Like, why would you do that to your team and stuff like that? If you want to criticize them, that's where you're going to go.
And my main criticize of the whole thing is I think for Andrew Luck, hey, if you don't love it that much, get out. And I really don't think he loved the game. And I think we see that more and more now with millennials. I mean, we're on a high school kids right now are playing less and less sports. Right now, like high school football is on a total downturn, and I feel like Andrew Luck was one of those guys who he didn't really love football, but he was really good at football, so he just played it.
How many NFL guys are really great at what they do, and then they get drafted and they show up and they just go through their first contract and they're gone, and with no injuries, no anything, but they got the big paydays because they don't love the game.
Exactly.
So, like I said, I have a different perspective because of my work history. If Luck
didn't have the injuries, he'd be playing.
No, absolutely.
Obviously.
He loves the game.
Injuries. It's like, man, I don't know if this is worth it. My body, I don't, I think him being injured and missing that 1 year of football really is kind of like, I don't need football as a platform. Like, I don't need this.
I think the mentality is I don't need this. The mentality is I'm never going to go through this again. Because what you don't know as a fan is how it affected his relationship with his now wife, his girlfriend at the time.
Right.
You don't know how it affects his life with his parents, how he gets out of bed in the morning. And that's the stuff that fans don't see out there. But I mean, I've never, like I said, I have the history and it's nowhere near. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near Andrew Luck's level, but I totally get it. Where for 2 years, probably longer, to be honest with you, I woke up every morning and was like, how do I get out of this hell I am in going to work? I totally got it. I understood it. I would never boo somebody for retiring. I don't boo people, period. They got a job to do. Sometimes you do it well. Sometimes you don't,
Unless they really suck. They're like, boo.
I still don't even boo. But the nice thing to see was that the players rallied around. The players that did criticize, like Steve Berline, was like, it was criticism, which is the right criticism. If you're going to criticize that move, is how soon he did to the season. It is. The other player, it is a stab in the back to the players. He could have been there to help. He could have gone an IR. He could have helped them, but he just done. He needs to get away from football to be happy again. And how can anybody say who's not selfish about football players? How can anybody say that isn't the right move? That's what I don't get.
Oh, yeah, totally. And especially this week, too, because on Tuesday, Rob Gronkowski came out with kind of his history. Like, man, I've been hurt and hurting for years.
His Super Bowl story.
Now, like a big component of like CBD oil and wants people to use that. I know, I know people that personally use that and they feel the best they've ever felt with the CBD stuff. My grandma, she uses it. She feels great now. Like last time I saw her, Well, not last time, but last time I saw her, she was looking good. The time before that, she was, coming in kind of hopscotchy, all old, barely able to walk. And then, saw her, she's up and at it, doing her thing. I mean, I don't think she's ready to go on a hike or anytime soon, but you kind of see like this stuff helps. I mean, Rob Gronkowski, he's now a big component to it. It would be nice to see if Andrew Luck can take this and kind of make that platform like Gronk is doing going forward, I guess, with, injuries in football. Because that's the big thing right now in football is injuries in football. You see all the vets talking about like, man, we don't get enough help. Well, because back then you didn't ask for it. Because back then, when you're hurt, you play through it. But nowadays you see, man, I'm hurt. I got to get out. Like, I got to do something here. And it'd be nice to see him use this as a positive.
Well, I mean, there's a fine line between going through it. But Gronk's story about the routine he took in the Super Bowl this year and what he went through after that hit, after winning the Super Bowl, and that's when he knew he was going to retire. It's just, I mean, it's almost heartbreaking listening to these guys. And nobody cares. That's the thing. But I mean, society in general right now is focusing on mental health and whatnot. I mean, it's super important that everybody out there deals with it because we all have these issues out there. But it's even more important that these guys who, like you said, they're basically robots to us. If you get a chance, I retweeted it on my personal and also on the Main Event Twitter pages. Rich Omberger, who's now a media member, but I mean, he played football. His story that he talks about how he retired, because not everybody gets a press conference,
right?
But his injuries, how he just kept trying to hang on, and his affecting his relationship with his wife, and how he went through this deal. I mean, it's a pretty long read for Twitter, but he indexes it well. I mean, I read this thing, and it was just like, oh my God. Like, I understand it because I understand that business side of football, but a lot of these fans that watch on Sundays, they get mad when their player doesn't play. They get mad when their guy has back surgery. And what they don't see are these guys. Like, I'll never forget, who was the bus? What's his name? Jerome Bettis. Reading his stories that last year where he couldn't get out of bed on Monday morning after a game. He had to crawl. Right. But even
that's what you heard too from Gronk's story. He took a hit in the leg and he's like, I couldn't sleep for more than 20 minutes.
Rich Omberger talks about that, where to get out of bed at the end of his career, his pregnant wife had to help him get in the bath so he could soak, just so he could get in the car and go down and get treatment at the place, and then to be playing again on Sunday. And, it's just these things that I think it's an eye opener, and I think it needs to be talked about, but it's got to come from the players. But then at the same time, we got to get past this deal where, fans need to start thinking of these guys not as robots and how they, go to these games. And, we make fun of Antonio Brown's feet because that was done outside of the deal.
And it's something he can work through.
But I mean, Calvin Johnson retired because he couldn't walk after games, with his knees, and didn't think it was worth it.
Yeah. And we saw Barry Sanders retire. I mean, we all think Barry Sanders just retired because he hated losing, but there could have been some underlying stuff there too.
Well, that doesn't help.
Right.
Because when you win, but Gronk was winning, no problem, and he was still walked away. So, everybody has their limits, and you're absolutely right for these younger guys, but people are waking up to the fact, man, because like when I came up, I'm 42 years old. When I came up, you hated doing something, you did it.
Right. Because that's what we were taught. We were like, hey,
get in there and do it.
Through it.
And nowadays, that attitude is changing, especially with the younger generation. Is you don't want to go out there and play football, then they don't. They go find something else to do out there. There's still going to be those guys that love the game and will do anything to do it. But for those guys, and I actually think it's going to make the game better.
We grew up in the varsity blues era where
yes,
you got out there and you played Mox, all right?
Yeah. Hey, I don't care your arms falling off.
I'll shoot you some steroids. Get out there and play.
When I was a kid, I broke my sternum playing soccer, which is the thing in there. And the doctors were like, yeah, if you take a hit.
The thing in there?
Where your bone, where your ribs go together,
your chest bone,
and the doctors were literally like, "Man, if you take a hard hit there, it can go into your heart or burst an artery or whatever." I was out there playing soccer.
Exactly.
You just protected yourself. Yeah. I got a few handballs because I stuck my hands up to block it from getting hit. You don't see that a lot today, is what I'm getting at. Probably for the better.
And that, I guess, kind of parlays into the big news that just broke MLB wise. Tyler Skaggs, of course, passed away a few months ago in Texas. Found in his hotel, unresponsive. And we just found out today the reason why: an accidental overdose on fentanyl, oxycodone, alcohol consumption. And that was on an off day on a Monday. When that took place.
But so
he pitched the Thursday before, I believe. It was scheduled to pitch that during that series with the Rangers. It was a 4-game set.
Yeah.
And on his off day, he's hurting so bad where he has to take this medicine.
We're making an assumption and a lump here, but people get addicted to that stuff all the time. It's not unfair to make the leap that you just made, where the guy needed that in order to get up and pitch, and he pitched every 5 days. He did mound stuff. but he probably needed it to get to work and do all that stuff for, to perform and things like that. It's not unfair to make that leap right now, I don't think.
No, definitely not. And that's, the kind of the sad thing about it too. You would wish there would be other ways, I guess, to go through this pain and do all this stuff. And, like Gronkowski said, like the CBD deal, it helps. So we'll see if they lean back on that. And I mean, I guess after you take so much of it, you eventually would become immune to it. But it's kind of the big thing right now where people are taking it. So I mean, we'll see if it comes to play. They take that off a drug test and make it part of the policy.
The thing, and I'm no doctor, but the thing that I would want to be careful about in these situations is, are you solving the pain or are you masking the pain?
Exactly.
Because masking the pain is, I mean, we have a good friend that, his wife did all those essential oils or whatever, and all it did was mask her pain, and then it turns out she has cancer and died literally, months later after finding that out, whereas if they wouldn't have been masking it. So, I mean, that's the thing I would be careful about on this is we need to find ways to make these guys feel better, get out to perform. I mean, you're always going to hurt after a football game. Let's be honest. It's how you get through that and go. It's not masking the pain. I mean, the old days, you took that big old needle into your knee or whatever and just went back out there.
We were playing NFL Blitz back in the day. You get hurt. You want to hit yourself up with steroids? Hell yeah, you did.
Yeah. And that's what you got to be careful of on that is masking it so guys can get back out there. And then it just makes it harder and harder on there. So, I mean, it's as simple as, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years you start seeing football games go from a week to maybe a week and a half,
Yeah.
Maybe stretched out a little bit more so that allows guys to recover. And that's a big controversy about Thursday Night Football is it's not enough time for those guys to recover from sun. And that's usually why Thursday Night Football games suck to watch is because their bodies haven't recovered.
Yeah, they're sluggish. They're, terrible
And
games.
so I think, forget about, 18 game schedule and things like that's fine, but maybe we need to stretch these games out a little bit more. So that might be something that comes up in the future on that. But same thing with Major League Baseball, and that's, greenies were a big thing back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And all those was to get them able to get back out on the field to play. They took those away, and our guys now turning to these high-end opiates and things like that in order to get their body back so they can get back out and pitch again or even play the field. You don't know.
I heard an interview with former Ranger player Rusty Greer, who made the great catch in center field to help Kenny Rogers get his perfect game back in 1994.
The chicken guy?
And no, not
the gambler.
No, not the gambler. Well, he did come out to the Gambler's music, but no. But Rusty Greer was kind of an eye-opening interview. I can't remember. It was years ago that I was listening to it, but he was talking about it was like we were taking greenies, popping those every day. Every couple hours, everybody was popping them because you had to do that to get up and play the game. And I mean, obviously now you have more stuff like physical therapy wise and rehab centers that are actually built in the stadium now in the workout room. But back then, I mean, even now, the pressure's so hard to play where these players are not reaching out. I feel like so.
Well, that's the thing is they can. So like if an NFL center walks into today and is like, man, I don't feel like playing today. There's a guy right behind him ready to take his job.
But that's the thing, you lose your job.
Yeah. so I mean, he can't say anything.
It's one of those things. Like, I mean, it's
read the Twitter story from Rich there. Like I say, play with the Cardinals, the Chargers, whatnot. Read his story, and I mean, he couldn't come out and say why he couldn't. I mean, he had to have major back surgery, and he was still playing with it because he knew if he didn't play on it, his career was going to be over. He played on it for months, had to go to do back surgery, and it basically was the end of his career because teams were like, "You're too injured. You're not willing to go in here. We have guys that can do it and whatnot." And that's the sad reality. And same thing with baseball. Tyler Skaggs walks in, baseball. I make fun of baseball players for not playing for a hangnail and stuff like that. But I mean, if he goes in there and says, his body's not right and he can't pitch today or whatnot, I mean, they're going to find somebody that can do it. Even with his talent level, they'll only put up with it for so long.
Oh yeah, totally. So, some good stuff right there. But we got a couple of weird news, I guess, in baseball, which kind of hits home here with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Steve.
Yeah. Breaking news.
Well, not really breaking news, but we've all known how average, I guess you can say, the Diamondbacks have been, and now they have set the record in terms of just being an all right baseball team.
Well, that's funny how that's the headline, that they are. The Arizona Diamondbacks are amazing at being average is the headline on, or is what, the Associated Press has as their leading line in this article. So, well, tell everybody what they're great average for there.
Well, over the last couple of days, they've just been playing some pretty much 500 ball, which I guess is the longest stretch of just 500 ball. they've been playing.
They've been within.
So there's a few different things. They've been within a few different, games of each other?
Yeah, they've been within 2 games of 500 plus or minus for more than 2 months.
Which I guess the A's had the record back in, 07 it was?
Yeah, it looks like it, yes.
So 60-game streak has beaten the Oakland A's mark of 56 straight games set in 2007. And what it is is they've been within 2 games of 500 plus or minus for more than 2 months. They lost to the Rockies June 18th. They fell to 38 and 36, and they've remained just the middle of the road club ever since then. And we've seen it play out this year. I mean, we hear all the local stations. Is this team a contender? Is this team not a contender? Because they show signs where it's like, oh, they're great. Then they go back on a little losing skid. Then it's, oh, they're great again. They go back on a losing skid. So, D-back fans, you just have an average team.
I've always been one. I think you know this about me, where it's like, I don't care if you go, like baseball would be 0 and 162, as long as you're competitive. Same thing with football. Cardinals can go 0 and 16. As long as you're competitive. If you're in every game at the end of it and you just can't pull it out at the end, it'd be frustrating as heck. Right. But it'd make it entertaining, right? And, you're going back to the Cowboys. You're a Cowboys fan. How was it frustrating that they're going 8 and 8 every year?
Oh, God.
Yes. But at the same time, if you look at it, you never have those highs and valleys. You don't have those bad years. So, like you said, that's what's interesting.
It was always good every year because you knew the last game meant something. And it always meant something for the Cowboys. Like the last game of the year always meant something for the Cowboys, whether they won or lost. You were excited because the last game meant something.
Yeah.
But it was still this team.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't view this as a bad thing, but it just means that they don't go on any big streaks like most Major League Baseball teams do, and they also at the same time don't go on those big streaks backwards.
Well, they got a 4-game winning streak right now, so.
Well, that's the thing is, I was like, man, that's a weird record because I can know of games where they lost like a series and then another game, but then when you look at it, they were up by 2 games, so that 4-game skid ends up where they only go backwards to 2 games
exactly.
And then they win. So that's what's funny about it. Even when they went on a 4-game skid, it just kept them within that 500 range. But I mean, baseball is one of those sports where some of those years going 500 is going to get you in the playoffs, But at the same time, it's frustrating because we talked about this when the trade deadline came up. They got rid of Greinke. And in that, it's like, man, these guys, with a little bit of a push, they go on a little bit of a run, they'll make it. And then
they just haven't been able to go on that run. And that's the thing. Like, they're in the wild card, 4.5 games back, but you don't feel like they're going to make that push because this is what they've been. They've been 4.5 games back all year.
Yes.
It hasn't changed at all. So that's the one thing I guess you get frustrated about if you're a D-backs fan. And I think this article will actually make more D-backs fans see, like, oh yeah, our team is just that average team. Middle of the road.
But the exciting thing is they're average with the team that they have right now. So they can, if they add 1 or 2 good players on there, can give them that little push to go on the side. At the same time, they get rid of 1 or 2 guys, they can go the opposite direction.
Yeah, so this offseason will be key for the D-backs to see what they do going forward. I know last year they started the retooling process by getting rid of Paul Goldschmidt. Then they got rid of Greinke this season, but they're not calling a rebuild.
But
they're just retooling.
They've made up.
We'll see what they do.
One of the player that they got in the trade for Goldschmidt that's called up, and the replacement, Walker, I think is his name, at first base right now, actually have duplicated Goldschmidt's hitting.
Right.
So they're not missing the hitting from Goldschmidt's bat or anything like that. They're missing it from other people.
Oh, yeah.
On that side. Their pitching has been good and bad. They have bad games, they have good games. So, but you're right. I mean, I would take a team that's average at 500 most of the season in baseball than I would a team that we normally see here where they're just god awful.
Yeah, especially if you look at it right now and you're like, all right, hey, 4.5 games out, month to play, they're still in the hunt. As long as you're on the last page of in the hunt, you're looking good, right? That's how I've always equated it.
Yes.
I feel kind of bad. They have to fill the spot. I was watching MLB Network last week, and they have to fill the 5th spot to make it look good, and they include the Rangers 13 games back. Like, come on, guys, don't put them on there. Let's just go top 4.
But that's the other side of it is, like you said, they're 4.5 out of the wild card, so that keeps you interested because they are 4.5, even though you might not feel that they'll go on those runs, but one of these other teams could go backwards, and if you stay where you are, you can kind of push into there. So it does keep it interesting because, like I said, if they like the Rangers 13 games back or whatnot,
you're not making that up.
Yeah,
they've already said this next month is all about evaluating. So we'll see what Torey Lovello and the boys decide to do there. Speaking of deciding to do, we watched Big Brother last night, and we saw that the house decided to get rid of Nick over Christy. Of course, it was prank week, which meant that Holly, who won the HOH last week, only got to put up 1 nom this week. And that nom was, in fact, Nick, who made himself a big target last week on Taco Tuesday. I hate how Julie Chen kept saying Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like it's the first time she's ever said anything about it.
I hate when people say Taco Tuesday, like you just did it.
Taco Tuesday. Like that's how she was saying it, man.
But they like overpronunciate the T's, and it's like, stop it.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's like when LeBron does his videos. Taco Tuesday.
It drives me nuts when I see those. It's like, just say it normal. People.
No, so we saw that last week with them doing Taco Tuesday, and they got in an argument. Christy was on the block up against it, so she had to call out somebody. Saved her game. They took out Sis last week. Christy, like I said, got put up on the block from the prankster who actually turned out to be Nick. So America, they voted. I don't think America voted Nick to win that. As a fan, we talked about last week. We wanted to see like Nicole win that thing or something.
I've seen this theory, but it makes total sense that America voted Nick to have it because he just got done getting outed by Christy.
Right, and Christy, and people do hate Christy. People hate Christy.
Yeah, literally.
Christy's not winning America's favorite.
After that battle, literally 2 days later, America voted Nick to have it. Makes perfect sense. But I've seen a lot of people saying that it's all fixed and everything.
Right,
and
because of what's going on. So,
it makes perfect sense because they had that big fight.
So Nick won it. Of course, he got to pick one of the noms. He was contemplating, I guess, putting up Mickey or Christy. And Mickey, of course, and with Holly, and being Holly's HOH, pretty much turns into Mickey's HOH, even though he's not really making his HOH like people have in years past when they're together. Here's what you're doing, here's what you're doing. I don't think Mickey's done that as much.
He's doing it. He's just doing it more subtle.
Exactly. He's more subtle about it.
That's what people are missing in this.
But Holly's all like, I want Nick out.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, yeah, cool. Let's go with that. He's like, what are we going to do here? But he's more subtle about it, like you said, which is good because, I mean, in past seasons, it's literally been like, hey, I'm running the show. We saw Paul 2 years ago. He literally picked every nom for himself to know who he would get in the final two, and it backfired on him because people were like, oh, Paul's been doing this. He's been pulling the wool over our eyes. So prank week.
So do you think Nick did a good job by putting Christy up next to him?
I thought that was the best move for him.
I thought Mickey would have been better.
Well, I think Mickey would still have the votes. Just because Mickey has the alliance with Cliff, whenever Cliff does, I think Nicole would have gone with Cliff too on that one. And Holly, I mean, if it came down to a split, Holly's not going to get rid of Mickey. Christy would vote to keep Mickey in over Nick. No. Tommy would vote to keep Mickey in over Nick.
Are you sure? Hold on. Tommy only had one person he has sworn to, and that's Christy.
Right.
So Nick had his vote except for one person, and that's Christy. If you would put Mickey up, Tommy might have been on Nick's side on that one.
I think it could have came down to a split. If it was a split,
yeah. Well, even then, you have a better chance because what Nick didn't know, and he found out, of course, was Tommy was honest with him, was that Tommy. There's one person Tommy's not sticking with Nick on. That was Christy.
Well, either way, it didn't work out. It wouldn't have worked out for Nick in the long run because Mickey won the veto contest and kept the noms the same, which you had to do. But I thought putting Christy up there was smart because Christy's been on the block for weeks, and Jackson has made it clear he wants to get Christy out of the game. So it was kind of one of those things like Holly was like, yeah, I want Nick out of this house, but I don't mind seeing Christy up there because, well, we need to get her out too. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward. But prank week, man, what'd you think about the pie that Cliff,
I hate that
Jess, and Nicole? I thought that was funny. It's good. It was entertainment to the house.
You're
stuck in there for 90 days.
That's what I was going to say. That's the thing you have to remember. Because like when they walk around saying I love you all the time, it drives me freaking nuts.
Right.
You don't.
We're gonna hang out at this house.
Yeah,
we're gonna be best
you're
friends.
not. You're stuck in there.
You're gonna
the
see
only
each other
people you see.
You're gonna see each other Big Brother reunions. That's it.
Yeah,
all right?
And it drives me nuts. But you have to keep in mind that this is the only interaction they have with human beings for 90 days. And then twice a week they get Julie Chen on a screen.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's just no interaction with anybody else in the world. So, but that's why it's fun. Like when that stupid robot comes in and roasts everybody.
Zingbot? You don't like Zingbot?
His roasts aren't very funny.
Zingbot is great.
The one
he called Holly out for being old. That was funny.
Yeah, not only that, but then the one he said about the drama queen or whatever oh my God, that was so dead
so
on.
Spot on, yeah.
And then his reaction.
About Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy.
You can tell he got him. He's like, yep, that's true.
It's so great.
And then also Nick's haircut, because his haircut coming in was pretty bad. And also the zing he had on Nicole was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. She has no boyfriend, no friends.
No social life. It's kind of like being right at home.
Yes.
Sorry, Nicole. Sorry.
Yeah, right. I mean, I mean, I get that stuff, but that's just all fluff, obviously.
We got to add some
You
fluff.
know,
It's
I
getting
hate
down to
fluff.
the game where it's like we're losing players.
Yeah.
And after double eviction, which is coming up next week, we're going to be down to 5 players, and then you get the fluff episode of let's recap what's happened in the house.
Go.
So
And then, so, I mean, it's coming down to basically, like, you think Cliff's going to do whatever he can to get to the end.
I like what Jack mentioned it yesterday. Jack said Cliff's playing a good game.
Yeah.
And he is. He's on nobody's radar.
But he's gonna side with Nicole and Jess and that side long before he sides with Mickey and Holly.
He's going
when it's not his
to
advantage.
decide with Nicole more than anybody.
Yes.
Jess, she can go out of the house.
No,
I don't think Cliff has any. I don't think anybody has any allegiance to Jess.
No.
Outside of maybe
But
Christy.
he'll have allegiance to her more than Mickey.
Right. But if
and
it comes
Holly.
down to it, and it's like, hey, Jess, sorry, you're the one that's got to go this week. You're the one that's got to go.
But now that Nick's gone, because he was the one that played the both. Now Tommy favors that side there. So the thing that Cliff, Nicole, Jess, and Christy need to realize is if they're going to make it to the end, they need to knock off Tommy, which Christy's the problem with Tommy. But you need to knock off Tommy, Mickey, and Holly if you're going to have any
I think
shot
what
at
they
the
got to
end.
worry about right now is getting, because with these HOHs, that's the thing.
They're
like,
not going to win them.
Mickey's
That's my
so
point.
good.
That's my point.
Mickey,
They're not going to
like
win them.
last night, I don't know who won the HOH contest last night, but seeing it start, I was like, oh, this is going to be Mickey right here.
Yeah,
It's
but-
total endurance comp. If Mickey does win, this is now, all right, no BS. I've been trying to for weeks. Let's get rid of Christy and get her out of this game, which is what you got to play.
Which would help that side because then Tommy's got to decide what side he's going to go on. You're going to force Tommy's
And
hand at
he's
that
not
point.
going on the side that just got out Christy. Because he's going to throw that vote to Christy. He's going to be like, hey, if the House decides we're getting rid of Christy, Tommy's going to be like, can I at least give her my vote? Because he's got to work with the House and be like, look, I want to throw it in her. That way she doesn't feel like we all sent her out.
The other side that you're not contemplating is Mickey's pissed off a lot of the people that are now in the House. So it might be beneficial to take Mickey all the way to the end because he's made a lot of enemies in that
But
house.
I feel like this house isn't the I hate you, I'm getting you out, I'm not going to vote for you house. I feel like Jack was even like, man, Mickey playing a great game. He's looking good. Like I feel like Jack, if it came down to Mickey at the end, Jack would vote for him. I feel like Sis, she kind of blamed it on Christy. It's like, she did what she had to do to stay in. It sucks because I was up as the pawn, and all that's going to get revealed when they do like, was I really a pawn in this? And I'm like, look, you were like going forward, but
I just want to know. I just want to know what it's like when you get home. It's all over, and you get some snippets in the finale, but then you get home and you rewatch it, and you're just like, what?
Oh yeah, that's what I was telling. I was talking to Sam last night. I was like, yeah, pretty soon you're going to start seeing the House talk to each other and talk about. There's going to be that jury house blow up, which there is every year of how much, well, you sucked at playing this game. Then the one guy's like, look, guys, we're all in the jury house because we sucked. All right. Like, we're all here because we sucked. We didn't play it right. That's why I like following the guys who get voted out before jury house because they're watching like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Yeah.
Well, that was a great thing last year with Chris, whatever.
Winston, when he got voted out, he was all about it last year.
Yeah. I mean, they had him and he was just like commenting on it. It was like, oh my God. Like,
and you just see all that stuff come to life like, oh my God. Yeah. So yeah.
It'll be good. I mean, HOH obviously big, but that's the problem is everybody. Mickey has the advantage on pretty much every competition at this point.
Especially those like endurance comps. Him or Tommy, I would assume. I mean, Tommy being a dancer, like I'm surprised he hasn't won more of those like kind of comps like that. So we'll see.
Tommy, I'm weary of. He's just right down the middle right now. And Christy has now realized it. But she's allied with him.
But he's still
obviously.
faithful to her, and she sees that, and he's like, "Look, I had Nick, but I stayed true to you." And Nicole now is starting to figure out something's going on with Christy and Tommy.
She knows,
and she that's going to come to life. But here's the problem with Nicole: she doesn't win anything. She has yet to win anything at all in this house. She needs to start winning because she right now floating is going to come back to hurt her.
Well,
and I think that's going to happen double eviction night.
But she was fine though with Nick in the house because the targets there's always bigger targets. And now now
that she's just a floater, they're gonna be like, hang on, who's won any? You haven't won anything. I'm not keeping you.
Yes, they're not gonna see the benefit on it.
Exactly.
However, Mickey would be smart to keep her because he'd win everything, get to the end there, and then you kind of go. But that's the issue. Is like last year with Casey, man. Everybody was like, man. What's his name? He's gonna win this thing a long way, and people started going like, "Wait a minute, Casey's like wins the vetoes."
And then she just became a beast. Like
everybody loves her.
That's the problem. Nobody's became that beast. Like last year, Tyler was the beast. Then Casey kind of came up on that level, but right now nobody's taking down Mickey, and then it's Holly that's winning other stuff. So it's one of those weird things where it's going to come down to it, like who can outdo this guy, and if you can, you got to take your shot.
But they should they should have taken the shot on Mickey long ago. They totally misjudged that one completely, and that's the thing that's shocking about.
Well,
this
apparently
part.
Jack's mouth got him in trouble, so.
But yeah, I know, but you got to see through that stuff, man.
Yeah, he did some pretty harsh things.
I know. Well, I know. What's it like being called a racist on national television?
Gosh, right? Julie Chen just coming at you for being sexist, racist, everything. Ugh, tough. I felt bad during that interview.
I follow a lot of people. I obviously have to be careful when I follow them, but I mean, to see what some people perceive some of these people at, it's like, where do you get that from? And then you read what they say or do, and it's like, oh wow, I totally get it now that the TV show doesn't capture. You have to watch the live feeds. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I actually like when Nick was like, "Hey, look, for everybody that doesn't know," because I feel like I don't know how much they're hearing in the house, but I feel like some things are being portrayed wrong. Because he even said last night, he's like, "Look, I'm telling everybody right now, Mickey's not this evil guy who everybody thinks he is. Like, he is a genuine good dude who makes coffee for everybody in the morning." Wakes up, makes breakfast, like does all this stuff.
They don't hear stuff, but because he was voted, like the 3 that were voted for that whatever, like they're just assuming that people hate him or whatever on that type of stuff. So they don't hear anything, but they pick up on stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, like Mickey, when Sis went home, he was like, "I know what you guys are thinking, but I'm on board with this and whatnot." And I could tell you, he was on board with it. He was not on board with it watching the live feeds until he realized that nobody was going along with him.
Oh, yeah.
Then he was like, totally, I'm not totally on board with it.
Well,
and
you
then,
got to. You don't make the
I know, but
back.
then they opened up the next episode, and Mickey's like, I know America thinks that I'm not on board with this, but I really am. And I was like, I saw the live feeds, and you were not on board. And then you realized everybody was switching, and you were like, okay, let's do this.
If I was on Big Brother, made it to the final 2, and they did like the amnesty hour thing they do, and asked me a question, like, look, I lied to every single one of you about every single thing in this game. I'm gonna walk out here with $5,000 or $25,000. All right, peace out.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'm good either way, guys.
Well, that's the thing. Once you get to that point, you're just like, here's what I did.
Yep.
Vote how you want.
Vote how you want. We're playing chess, not checkers.
I would wreck people in this game. Like, people would just be so shocked by the end of it.
Like, what did you do? Speaking of what did you do, what did you do last night, Steven?
Well, Mr. Carter, college football season began.
That is right. Of course, you were at the great matchup featuring Kent State versus ASU, which a little rocky first half for you,
so,
being an ASU guy.
First of all, I want to address the big elephant in the room here. Man, Kent State's mascot or nickname is god awful. Golden Flashes.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's awful, right? And I didn't know that. And then I get to the game and like somebody said it, and I was like, "What did you just say to me?"
The Kent State Golden Flashes. Like,
I was like, "What?"
Their mascot comes out there and just like with a trench coat and starts flashing people.
Dude, it's like, really? What? So, yeah, they made the 4-hour journey via plane out to Tempe last night on a nice, humid 104-degree night. Good for them. So ASU starting off. They have a freshman QB. They had to start a freshman center last night because their experienced center broke his ankle or leg, so he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. So it was the first time in a long time, if ever, that a freshman quarterback and a freshman center. So bottom line is, I mean, Jaden Daniels, the freshman quarterback, goes 15 for 24, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 5 times. That offensive line was suspect,
right?
Which is worrisome because this week you have Sacramento State and then you got Michigan State on the road, and then you go into Pac-12 play, which defenses in the Pac-12 this year are pretty stacked. Now, the good news is that he looked poised. Even when they broke through the line pretty quick, he was able to roll out, make some good throws, things like that. So the offensive line is just going to be the question mark. The defense looked great, though. I mean, they were putting pressure on him. They were stopping the run. The cornerbacks were breaking up passes and being there. So it's going to be interesting. Now, it's not the test you want. This week's not going to be the test you want against Sacramento State. But here's 2 sides to this is it's the first game, always weak. Always struggle with it. Look at that Miami-Florida game.
I mean, it's good. It's good that they get the powder puffs before Michigan State because they do have some things to clean up on and work on playing this Friday. It is, right? Friday night game?
Friday night this week.
Yeah, that sucks. Friday night. High school football.
Yeah, no, but
Friday night games. I'm like
Pac-12 did that tonight.
Yeah,
there's one tonight too.
I know. Yeah, there's a few games on tonight, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of those Friday night games. But regardless of that, yeah, I think a few things to work on going to Sac State. Obviously, the offensive line, you got to sure up that thing. Going to Michigan State and playing over there in Big Ten country because
big boys.
It's not going to be the same as it was last year when you're down late in the fourth quarter, you can come back and sneak one out like they did last year. I think it's going to be a hard-hitting game, and you got to be on your top for all four quarters.
Points are going to be at a premium, so you got to be able. I mean, they were able to, even when they weren't. I wasn't happy with the play calling on offense in the first half. Second half, they opened it up.
Yeah.
I felt like they were being very conservative with his quarterback in there, which is fine. So this Friday night, I want to see him open it up a lot more for him. He throws a pretty long ball, but you didn't see it till the second half. He made some questionable throws, but I think that was just the direction of the play calling, where it's like, throw it over here. So we'll see it on how we move forward on that, but that's exciting. I mean, they broke out, they won it, unlike U of A. Against Hawaii last week.
So ASU 1, U of A 0.
So Pac-12 starting off a little weird again this year because so far UCLA lost to Cincinnati last night on the road in Cincinnati. Utah dominated BYU, which I know you watched that.
Pulled it out late. But
a lot of people don't know.
The first half was kind of suspect. BYU, too many turnovers. And that Utah defense, like I said, I mean, they look good. And those defenses are going to play tough in the Pac-12. So, yeah, the Utah defense looked pretty studly last night, especially they're late in the fourth quarter, able to close out the game. Got a couple pick sixes in there, so
that's what ended up blowing it open on
exactly.
That. I mean, BYU's not going to be good this year on there. So but those rivals like that is a heat. People don't know how heated of a rivalry that is. Like they hate it. Like you think ASU, U of A, or Michigan, Ohio State are hatred? Like BYU, Utah.
They were talking to a BYU player's mom who went to Utah, and she was like, "I was in tears when he went to BYU." But she was like, "I'm here, my blue."
I'll say this: I was on a thing, and they were talking about playing Utah on Twitter, and you could tell who was up for who because BYU was like, "Oh, that was a great play," and then the Utah fans were like, "Worst play ever. Wish that guy would die." Like, it was like, "Oh my god."
Mormon's coming in hot, but Utah does win the Mormon Bowl last night. Other games in action saw number 12 Texas A&M beat Texas State 41-7. Number 1 defending national champs Clemson 52-14 over Georgia Tech.
So we'll put this on record here that before the game you were complaining you couldn't get the ACC network.
Well, I mean, I wanted to see the national champs play game 1.
Let's see him. But
I mean, either way,
we'll see him play a good team because you were like, I think it's going to be closer, and I was like, what?
It's going to be closer than what people think. I was a little wrong.
I don't even know.
Had to save ABC for the Duke Bama game this week. Yeah.
Right. Well, no, they got to sell the ACC network and try to get more systems.
Which hasn't sold anywhere, so that's the biggest downfall. Big fluster by ESPN. Who last night was like, "Oh, you can watch this for free. You got a 10-minute preview of the ACC network,
so they even
but you couldn't even watch it if you don't have the pet. Like it's nonsense. You can't even get on ESPN Plus. Like it's such a ass backwards deal. So
that's why these conferences need to do their own thing. Like Pac-12 gets a lot of crap for trying to do their own thing because they didn't do it right, but. Learn from those mistakes, and you can't be going into bed with these networks like ESPN or Fox Sports on your. You gotta do it yourself. You just have to. You're at a disadvantage. Yes, you don't have the expense, but you're at a disadvantage. You're at their deal on that, and it's just.
But you gotta be able to work out the deals too. I mean, SEC Network when that came out, it was all on every platform, I believe, except for maybe one. But ACC Network, they don't have Comcast, they don't have Cox, they don't have ATTU Verse or Dish, I believe. Like you gotta get partnered up with those people if you want people around the world watching your games. Because, I mean, here, we're major Cox country. Cox is better than DirecTV here.
Here's the interesting thing about Cox Communications is they're based in Atlanta.
Right.
And they don't even service that area anywhere.
It's hilarious.
So it's like, why are you based in Atlanta and you don't even service anywhere in the Southeast? It makes zero sense to anybody, but whatever.
But a couple big games coming up tomorrow as college football season does get into a full swing. I guess really only one big game is the
Pac-12.
The Pac-12 versus the SEC and the Cowboys Bowl, Cowboys Classic. Is that what they still call that thing?
I don't know.
I think it's still the Cowboys Classic. But Oregon playing Auburn, number 11 versus number 16, Steve.
This is the game I'm most interested in this weekend.
I think most of America would agree.
I think Auburn's going to be down this year because Georgia's going to be up, and Georgia and Alabama are going to be up on that side. So it's going to be interesting. But I mean, Oregon has aspirations to win the North and be up there in the playoff hunt. And if they lose this one, right out of the bat. So
yeah, it's going to be a bad taste in your mouth. Who you like winning?
I actually think Oregon's going to pull this out. The speed, even though Auburn has speed, I think the speed is just going to be too much in this first game.
Yeah, I think it's going to come into play really in the late third quarter, fourth quarter. You're going to see that speed of Oregon start to take advantage. I mean, this is a dome stadium, so it'll be a dome game. So
With
don't worry about
AstroTurf.
heat, anything like that. Yeah, the AstroTurf can be an issue, but I feel like you said, the speed of Oregon, not only on defense but the offense side of the ball, man, they're very fast.
They're gonna wear down. It's first game of the year. If this was second, third game, and you had a first game in there, you'd
be taking Auburn.
I don't know if I take Auburn, but I think it'll be a lot closer than what I think
it's going to be a close game still. I mean, the spread right now is 4 points.
Well, it's going to be sloppy because it's the first game, but that's kind of what I'm getting at is like, you know how it is. You've been training, you've been working, you've been doing all that. You get into your first game and you're actually in game reps. It's a whole different deal. Your body has to get ready for that. And like I said, that Oregon speed, if they can just keep it going, minimize those turnovers, it's just going to wear Auburn down on those long swing plays and things like that. So, but I'm going to go Pac-12 on this one with Auburn there.
And it is Labor Day weekend, so we get a couple of games on a Sunday or Monday with some top-ranked schools. Number 4, Oklahoma, going to be hosting Houston. You get tickets for $10 right now if you wanted to. Go to Norman, Oklahoma. Think Houston Cougar Nation comes in with the upset right after that?
No, not even close. Not even close. But it is interesting. We're going to see Jalen Hurt for the first time in an Oklahoma out uniform.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Hurts can do there. I mean, obviously keeping the maroon on, so
yeah, right.
Should know exactly what targets to throw to out there at the. In
I want to see what Lincoln Riley does for him because we saw what he did for Baker, and then we saw what he did for Kyler Murray last year, and similar style, but he's a lot bigger.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts has always kind of gotten the whole, you're a good college quarterback, you're not going to be anything in the pros. So we'll see what Riley can do for him because, I mean, his last two have gone number one, so you got to keep the trend alive, right?
But is the question that you got is Lincoln Riley, is Jalen Hurts more style, more like an Oklahoma style, or was it more of the Alabama style?
Right.
Because they're two different completely styles. And I suspect he's more of an Oklahoma style. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him break out. And that's what I'm most interested in that game. But yeah, it's not going to be close.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking Oregon in the first game, by the way.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, I got Oklahoma winning this one as well. Notre Dame, Louisville, kind of interested in this game. Of course, Notre Dame comes in ranked number 9. Notre Dame always ranked in the top 25 before we know anything about this team. Does Louisville have a chance here?
No. As much as I hate to say, no. Louisville
home game?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Crowd's going to be rocking on Monday night?
Does not matter.
I'll go. That's my upset pick of the week.
You going to go Louisville?
Give me Louisville.
No, Notre Dame has to win their first 7 games of the year, being ranked number 1 or 2, and then get destroyed by somebody, or even worse, make the playoffs and then lose by 700
I think
points.
this is the year that they just start crappy and just keep crappy. This is the year that Notre Dame football is irrelevant once again.
The interesting thing is everything I've been reading about Notre Dame talks about their youth and inexperience, and then they still start the season ranked 9. So who the hell knows?
I know. It's Notre Dame. They get Notre Dame bias. There's SEC bias, and there's Notre Dame bias. It's a thing.
Yeah, you can't get to number 1 if you don't start in the top 10.
Exactly.
Say. So yeah, I mean, I think, but here's the other thing is, Notre Dame has that matchup against Georgia coming up. So, going to be interesting to see here because I think Georgia is going to be, not a surprise because everybody's expecting him to be there, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Georgia take over that SEC this year.
And of course, my Tennessee Volunteers, they host Georgia State in a classic battle.
Yes.
Can't wait for that one. 27-point favorites.
You going to go for the upset here?
Nah.
Tennessee's winning this one pretty easily. But the interesting on Tennessee, they have some hurt defensive linemen, some stud defensive linemen that are out. So see how they make up on that and get these inexperienced guys in there and see what they can do.
Just got to manage it until they get back, guys. All right. Not having high hopes for the season as usual. I keep my expectations pretty low when it comes to college football. But yeah, we'll beat an SEC team 1 or 2. I'm feeling pretty good about it. So let's go Vols.
You right?
Another year is upon us.
They better win this week because there's nothing worse, U of A fans, Wildcat fans, of losing your first game against a team you thought you'd dominate.
Yes, nothing is worse than that. And Tennessee, they have kept some of these games actually pretty close throughout. We saw yesterday ASU Kent State was kind of close where ASU ran away in the second half.
But
Tennessee keeps these games close. Like I feel like in the fourth quarter, like come on guys, really? Why are we only up 14-3 on Chattanooga?
But I mean, you're right. ASU Kent State kept it close, but you never at any point. Kent State was not moving the ball.
Right.
At no point in time were you like, oh, man, Kent State's going to keep this close till the end.
Yeah, you never felt that. But if there was a fumble that happened and then they scored on the third quarter or the opening drive of the third, so if ASU, you're like, oh, crap, what the heck? Come on, guys.
Speaking of which, ASU's punter last night.
Looked great.
Oh, my God. He has the new NCAA record.
Which is?
I knew you were going to ask me that because I'm flipping through my things really quick, trying to find it. Our punter is better than your punter. Of course, you're gonna ask me that. Most average yards for a punt. 60. Last record was 62, and he averaged 65 last night.
Nice.
Minimum of 5 punts. I do believe it is.
It's never going to get 5 points against Kent
5
State.
punts.
But,
I mean,
yeah, 5 punts against.
no, but I mean, 2 freshman quarterback, 2 freshman center. Kent State bottled up. Benjamin, the star running back. He had 102 yards, but they were hard yards. So I mean it. First half, like you said, but second half they came out and made all their changes and did all that good stuff. But it's always good when your punter
gets noticed because kickers, they're people too, all right? Punters still play football.
So his name's Michael Turk, by the way. But he averaged 63 yards per punt. The longest was being 65 yards, which was pretty spectacular on there. And like I said, the other average was like 61. So yeah, I mean, able to flip the field, which is a huge deal, especially in the Pac-12.
Yep. Other than that, we'll leave you with a little bit of baseball talk. Seattle Mariners outfielder Keon Broxton has been suspended 2 games by Major League Baseball for
pending appeal,
accidentally throwing his batting glove and making contact with home plate umpire Monday night right in the face, as Keon Broxton was mad at himself for
that's the thing. He wasn't even mad at the ump.
Yeah, he was mad at himself, striking out, ending the inning, was throwing his stuff down, threw his bat down, his helmet down, was taking off his glove, just threw it, and accidentally made contact with home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez, hit him right in the face, which, of course, Joe Torre announced that he had to be suspended and also fined for throwing the glove that hit him in the face. Even though it was an accident, I know Broxton will appeal this, but 2 days off might be good for the guy coming in with a 167 average.
Like I said, I was telling you, some of the comments were great because they were like, man, he finally hit something. But I mean, he hit some. What would be awesome to see, what I would just love to see, is an umpire. If that happens to an umpire, they literally just turn around and walk off. Like nothing happened. Like they just want to always be a protagonist. Like, oh, I'm going to show this guy, I'm going to throw him out.
That one's iffy. I don't know. That one,
it's a batting glove.
I get like you.
And he wasn't looking at
but
him.
He wasn't looking at when he threw it either. Like Manny didn't have his eyes on Broxton when he threw it. He was looking ahead. He called the pitch, so he knew Broxton was mad at a borderline call from a home plate umpire. So he struck out on a borderline call. He was mad. He was like, what the hell? F this. That was out of the zone. And then you just see a glove strike you in the face. Like, what the heck? Hey, F you. You're out of here.
I know.
He didn't see it,
I mean, but I'm okay with the throw him out of the game deal, but the 2-game suspension's a joke.
Yeah, I think after watching the video, you can tell that it was accidental. So I like to hear Keon's comments on it, but
I don't think
we'll have to wait until the suspension.
Spoken. Yeah.
I don't think media's clamoring to go hang out in Keon Broxton's locker after the game.
The comments were just stellar. They're like, oh, you finally hit something, and then like, where's the GoFundMe for the umpire? For him to survive this is just gonna be amazing. But it's funny. I retweeted it out on my page as well as the main event page. If you want to see an umpire get whacked in the face, it's obviously a joke, just tossed at him, but on there. But it's pretty funny to watch.
And also, good news if you're an Arizona sports fan and you like soccer. Of course, Steve used to play some football, as they say. The Phoenix Rising, man. We thought Dollar Beer Night was great. They stayed undefeated last Friday night. And did you see the hype video they put out?
I did.
On their page?
I did.
With just beer flowing everywhere. And apparently it's like Bud Lights too. It's not like any those cheap, you go like beer nights, like $2 beer nights where it's like a little bitty cup of beer of like the cheap stuff. Like these are Bud Lights these guys are getting for $1, which is not a bad deal.
It's such a successful deal that other programs are implementing Dollar Beer Night all over the place because so many people are. I have 2 issues with it. Is one, I don't like going to those things where there's just drunken a-holes everywhere.
Well, don't go to those games.
I know. So I have a problem with that, for one. But 2, man, they've made it into this deal where they've won how many in a row?
16 now.
Yeah. So, and they're not all Dollar Beer Night. So,
right.
But that's the big thing. Oh, Dollar Beer Night. They're going to win. Let's go.
So it's been quite the roll.
I've never been
Rising. We still need to get out there.
It's middle of summer. It's effing hot. And everything. So I never get out there, but it's got to be a fun time, I guess, from what everybody's saying.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a good time. We talked about it a little bit last year. I think last year we kind of picked up on this team around this point in the season. I think we got about 9 games left. Not too sure how many of those are home games or not, but we need to get out there and get on at least one of these Friday nights and see what's going on.
I know.
With the Phoenix Rising.
At least go check it out. Sweat to death out there. Watch a storm come in, right, on us.
Maybe go to one of those October games.
When's the playoffs start?
I don't even know. Playoff tickets. This is going to be out of this world expensive, right? I don't know how that.
No, they're still affordable. That's the nice thing about it. That's why it's so popular here and everything. So, but this ownership group, I mean, we keep getting, I'm going to say the word screwed, but we keep getting screwed out of an MLS friend. Like they just gave one to St. Louis and they don't have nearly the
Right. They couldn't keep an NFL
background.
team.
We have a billionaire owner who's put money into this team. They have that crappy stadium, but he's willing to build his own stadium. He made it clear to
the
them.
demographics here are a lot better than St. Louis. I
Yes.
mean, Hispanic demographics is it's huge in Arizona.
We all knew where you're going there.
Well, I mean, that's no lie. It's not being like a racial thing or stereotyping. Like it's a thing out here.
When the national team rolls through and plays Mexico or whatever for either a friendly or whatever,
Yeah,
I mean,
they play them at University of Phoenix. State Farm Arena. Now,
yeah,
State
where the
Farm
Cardinals
Stadium,
play, and it
whatever you
sells
call
out.
Yeah.
It sells out routinely. So I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, it's got a great following. The games are packed. I from what I understand, the MLS is kind of if you're not buddies with the owner, you don't get a chance. And I guess that's what's going on with it. So
well, he's fighting the fight, and thank you for fighting the fight, and we'll see what happens coming up.
Really quick, Baltimore Ravens, some notables. Michael Floyd was just cut by the Baltimore Ravens. So, I mean, he hasn't done much in the league, but being here in Arizona and
of course, you know that name.
Yep, struggle a little bit. And speaking of Notre Dame, Michael Floyd, type of stuff on there. Just came across there, and I'm scanning the wire before we go to see if there's any other big names that have been cut. Because cut is tomorrow at noon. I think there's 2 teams or 3 teams that can go till 2 or 3 our time to cut. And I think the Cardinals are one of them. They get a late. I don't know why 2 or 3 teams get a later time frame, but they do. So we will see. Nothing else. I'm
Nothing
going through
favorable
this
with
here.
notables getting cut yet.
Terrell Pryor got cut by the Jaguars. I mean, that's notable because he went from quarterback to receiver.
And looked great when he was with the Browns. Last year.
But then last year was Lions? I think
that was not good.
Yep, and then obviously not good in Jacksonville because they just cut him on there. Luke Wilson, we talked about, favorite on Hard Knocks the other night. And of course, some of these teams have already cut like all of their cuts. So
So tomorrow is the official day. Now it's just like those days where it comes down. It's like they've informed so and so, but tomorrow every team will have their final 53-man roster.
That's the thing. Like before we even started recording, there were some agents that were like, "Hey, my client's been informed." Like when we started this, Luke Wilson was the only Raider, and now there's 15 guys on there. Running back Mac Brown was cut. I think he had a good shot of getting in there for the end there. No big names. Obviously, Brandon Marshall we talked about.
Well, a huge name that could be a huge name potentially. Well, not really a huge name, but Shaquem Griffin, of course, the one-arm bandit for Seattle. Right now, he is on the bubble.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens.
Seattle hasn't announced anything, but that's what I don't know if this includes the guys that their agents are saying that they've been informed, because they might be informed today, but it might not hit the wire till tomorrow.
Former Cowboys wide receiver Bryce Butler, who was slated to take over the Dez Bryant spot, a big receiver. Came here last year for a little bit, right? If I believe so, Bryce Butler did.
Yes,
he came to the Cardinals.
He was.
He was released by the Dolphins today too. So,
ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, so
Dolphins
some big news there
good.
getting out. So we'll kind of see and counting down. Of course, we'll have more of that next week on our big NFL preview.
Yeah, so no names for the Raiders yet that are big names from the Hard Knocks deal, other than Luke Wilson. So that's interesting to follow with Hard Knocks, is seeing who gets cut and your favorites. There's always that one guy that still gets cut, even though they talk him up all preseason, and the Hard Knocks is like, man, we got to keep this guy and whatnot, and then he gets cut, and everybody's like, what?
Why'd you cut this guy?
Yeah.
That was our boy. So yeah, we'll keep big news on that. Ooh, Eagles, they released Orlando Scandrick, who was a big cornerback there for a few years with the Cowboys. So.
Just click through there. I just refreshed it. So, I mean, I think right now what we're seeing is all the guys that, Jaquez Rogers got cut by the Saints. Third down back, been in the league for a lot of years. Right. But that just tells you that Kamara and the other guy there that's behind him are just ready to go and not injured. So, because he's in that same mold. So that's all that tells you there. It's literally coming across. But these are all the guys that I think you knew were going to be cut. They're keeping all the the big names, I guess. But Marcellus Branch for the Steelers got cut, defensive back.
So yeah, some interesting names. Nothing too much to fluff, but definitely some guys who I think can get on with another team and
if not,
try to show up a little bit this year. See where they kind of ball out. Yeah, and if not, like you said earlier, the XFL, they have roster spots available, so we'll kind of see how all that plays out. So next week, join us will be our NFL preview. We're just talking NFL next week. We're going to break down every division, every team. give our picks. Oh, I meant to get your college football playoff picks. I put mine out last night.
Yeah, why don't you say yours?
Bama, Michigan, and Texas getting in there. Which I think Clemson, Bama, no brainer, right?
Texas, yeah, Clemson, Bama are going to make it.
Michigan, I'm going off. Maybe Harbaugh can beat Ohio State now that Urban Meyer's not the head coach. And
I think this is the year he has to.
Yeah, this is the year like they got to do something. And then Texas, and Tom Herman, he's had that team for what, 3 years now? This will be his third year.
Yeah,
they made it to the Big 12 title game last year against Oklahoma, beat Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout, so they might be able to get something done this year.
I think Oklahoma is the third team that'll get in this year, especially with Jalen Hurts and Lincoln Riley, man, getting ready to go to the Cowboys when they fire what's his name this
Jason
year?
Garrett, yep.
Jason Garrett,
the lame duck coach.
Type of a deal on that. But yeah, I mean, if a team, I agree with you on the Michigan deal on that. But I wouldn't. Don't sleep on. No, they're in the ACC. I was going to say, don't sleep on Florida State this year. Their schedule is pretty favorable. On that, so who
you got your fourth? You got Oklahoma in there, Bama, Clemson. I'm assuming you have them in there, right?
Yeah, they're gonna make it.
So now you got your fourth team.
The only way they're not. So Georgia and Alabama are in the same conference, right?
Georgia and Alabama.
I mean, Georgia and Alabama. Are they in this? Both in the?
Yeah, they're both in the same.
So they both can't make it because one of them's not going to win their division.
Well, we've seen that.
No, they changed the rule.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I believe they changed the rule to where you have to win your division. So, because that's the thing, man. Georgia, I know everybody's on the Alabama, but man, I'm telling you, Georgia, I'm going to be shocked if Georgia doesn't make waves in there.
Well, no, they're not in the same division, but they can play for the conference title against each other. So if you can't win the conference, does that affect, or you have to win your division, or how's that work?
No, I can't remember. I think you have to win your conference.
What was it a few years ago? I don't even remember now.
But didn't they change that rule? Because
that was a big fight a few years ago when Georgia made it independent because it was just a replay of the SEC title game, correct?
Yeah, and then I think, and that was all the uproar. So didn't they change that rule?
I'm not too sure. I can't tell you. I know we weren't happy about it, that's for sure.
Nobody wants to see a rematch. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, but there is some interesting stuff going on in Big D right now, as Stephen Jones was just on a radio program, 105.3 The Fan down there, G-Bag Nation, and said there is no drop dead date for Zeke's return. G-Bag Nation was apparently going off the reports that we heard. Jerry Jones actually called into the station while listening to correct everything they said. So Jerry Jones is right now on the phone with these guys live by just calling into the hotline. So some interesting developments down there in Dallas. So it's kind of a cluster, I guess.
Wow. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
So basically, how would you like to be Steven right now where your dad's calling in to double check everything?
Right?
You know what that tells me?
Well, I don't know if Jerry's going against what Steven's saying or he's going against what the guys were taking away from the interview they had.
Yeah. But you know what that tells me? Is that they have no clue, and the Cowboys are trying to spin this in their favorable ways. So it's worse than you think.
Well, that guy from somebody that works at the station on Twitter, he said, WTH, Jerry Jones just called the hotline and is on 105.3 The Fan to correct G-Bag Nation. So they were saying something. I don't know. More to come on that, I guess. So I'll be trying to listen to it here in a little bit.
Now you got me all
intrigued.
You know what? Okay, no. So you can still make it. Okay, so I was wrong. You can still make it. I was pretty sure.
Georgia as a fourth?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go Georgia.
All right.
I think I think Georgia's gonna surprise people this year, and they might win it outright over Alabama.
Well, you better tweet it out, or else nobody's going to know. So you make sure you tweet it out. That way you can retweet it there come January.
Yes, I will get it out momentarily.
All right.
Maybe I should go North Texas.
And speaking of Twitter, make sure you follow us on the Main Event Podcast, or on Twitter at the Main Event Podcast, or at the Main Event Pod it is. Follow us on Facebook at the Main Event Podcast. And also follow me at Jason Carter03 on all three platforms for Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. You can hit up Steven at
SMAC 500 on all those as well.
All right, so we'll see you next week with our full NFL preview. Going to be a big show next week. I know a couple of guys are already asking, who should I take? Doing some other pick'em leagues that are going on in the Valley. Like, who do I take? Where do I listen to? Where do I get the odds? It's like, just tune into the preview, man. We'll let you know. So we'll give you who we think is going to win every game on next Sunday or next Thursday through Sunday. Not every game of the season, but every game for week 1.
Wait, who did it? Really quick. No, who was my fourth? I had Alabama, Clemson.
Yeah, Alabama,
Georgia.
Clemson, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, that's right. I'm like, who am I missing? That's right.
Well, yeah, so we'll see you next week. Until then, God bless you, God bless the troops, and God bless America.